Welcome to Learning WooCommerce, Video 1. What is WooCommerce? Well, first, before we even get into the agenda of this video, let's just go over, what is WooCommerce? Well, WooCommerce calls it a WordPress e-commerce toolkit, but basically it's a plugin. It's a shopping cart plugin for your WordPress site. And so if you're looking to sell products, physical goods, downloadable goods, virtual goods, something like that for your WordPress site, then WooCommerce is an excellent choice. It's very well put together and very popular. So in this video, what we're going to do is we're going to take a tour of a WooCommerce store from the front end, get a feel for what it looks like to a potential customer. We'll look at a product and look at what's called a variable product and a simple product and see how they work. And we're also going to look a little more deeply at the developers behind WooCommerce, just get a feel for who's behind it and how it works. And it is as I said before, a WordPress plugin, and it is an open source plugin, which means it is available for free. There are what are called these paid extensions. We'll get into later and what that's about. But again, it's an excellent choice and very well built. But to start off, let's go ahead and take a tour of a WooCommerce store. All right, so here we are at a WordPress website, just a site where I have installed WooCommerce just as a demo site. And if I scroll down a little bit, you'll see that there are three products here under featured. And actually, this is very easy to set up on the back end, depending on how your theme is arranged or set up. It's very easy to feature products. And if I look at these three products, this one where I sort of hovered over it, it says add to cart right here. And notice that's going to be different from this one right here, which if I hover over it, it says select options. That's because these are actually two different types of product. And actually, we're going to look at this later on in later videos on the back end. This is a simple product, and this is a variable product. And the difference is that with the simple product, if I click on it, I can just simply add it to my cart. I can just choose the number, maybe I want 3 pairs of these shoes or whatever they are, and add it to my cart. Or if I go back and if I choose the variable product here, I click on that, then you'll notice that in this case, we have some options. So I can choose the size and I can choose the color, and that's a variable product. And really the difference is that not only do I have options to choose from, but I could potentially also have different prices depending on the options that I choose. So in this case, small may be less expensive than a large. See that, how the price jumped? So you can do those types of settings on the back end, which we will look at later videos. That one in the middle there, I just wanted to put together. It is a simple product, but it is on sale. So I wanted to show you that a product that's on sale could look different. It could have this sale button next to it. It could also have this strike through and the sale price. Now I say could because it does depend on your theme, particularly how this looks right here, the sale button looks like. You may not have it in your theme, but typically in most WooCommerce installations, you will see that sort of strike through. But again, the look of it may be different, probably will be different, but it is a nice feature to have it sort of have a sale price like that and sort of call it out like that. All right, so we look at these three products. Now, I do want to note that these are all basically shippable products. However, it's also worthwhile to note that you could potentially have a virtual product, and that's fine. And a virtual product is basically something that doesn't require shipping, so you wouldn't charge shipping for. And that could be something like a service. Maybe you're selling accounting services or something like that, and you allow your maybe you allow your customers to purchase it by the hour or something like that right online in packs or something like that. So anything that doesn't require shipping. And the third option that you could potentially have is a downloadable product. And the difference between a virtual and a downloadable basically is that a downloadable product is something like an ebook, uh, maybe an MP3, a song, something like that, something that the user could download. So basically you would sell it and they would get a link and they would be able to download the product. And that's basically a downloadable product. So you have these shippable products and there's some options there, and you have you have the virtual products and you have the downloadable products. All right, I also want to show you a couple of other things here. I'm going to scroll to the top and um, just in my navigation and click on Shop. And this is basically all the products in this demo store here. Okay, and how these are arranged will definitely be different depending on the theme. It could be 2, it could be 3. Again, this could vary quite a bit depending on the theme. But what I did want to show you was these categories right here. Now the styling, of course, and where it's placed is dependent on the theme. However, what's important to note is that you can put products in various categories and subcategories. And so here, there's a category called brand, and then there are sub-brands right here under that. And so, and here we have accessories, main collection. So it allows your users to navigate your store more easily. And if I click on it, so if I click on accessories, that accessories page shows up with just the accessories products, categories in that products in that category. So again, it really helps your users sort of navigate through your store more easily. All right, before we leave our tour here, let's take a quick look at the checkout process and get a better understanding of that. Now first of all, WooCommerce will actually create several pages after you install WooCommerce um, on your WordPress site, or after it's installed. Several pages will be created. Uh, a checkout page. Now, if you display it, you may or may not want to display them in your navigation, but it does create several pages, and so you can see that the customer can go and log into their account, go through the checkout process, that sort of thing. In this particular theme, there's a cart up here where customers can view their cart, click on that to view their cart, and then go through the checkout process. A lot of themes have something similar to that, so it's not unusual. It's just not necessarily part of the standard WooCommerce installation, but a lot of themes have something like that. But here I'm looking at the customer cart, and if I proceed to checkout by clicking on that, you can see that the customer can fill out their address and all the rest. Of course, you can choose which countries you want to ship to. By default, it includes basically every country in the world. For the most part, you may not want that, obviously. But then it will also calculate shipping for you. So in this case, I have free shipping set up on all the orders. Obviously, you don't have to have that. There are some, out of the box, there are some basic shipping settings that you can set up. I say basic because usually if you have anything more than, you may have different zones of shipping. So for example, you may charge a particular price for Canada and then another price for the UK. And so you may have some different shipping options there as well. And in a lot of cases, when you have those types of things, the basic settings won't do the trick, or I should say the out-of-the-box settings won't do the trick. You often have to purchase an extension, a shipping extension to handle more zones and whatnot, and it's called table rate shipping and that sort of thing. But if you're interested in just free shipping or some very basic, very basic shipping options, then you don't have to purchase any extensions for that. However, in a lot of stores, usually maybe a table rate you might need something like that. The other thing I wanted to note was payments, and you can see here that I only have PayPal set up here. Out of the box, WooCommerce integrates with PayPal Standard. You could also, although it's probably not very likely, accept checks. So you could have an option for accepting checks and that sort of thing. But those other options, not very popular. PayPal is very popular. Now, if you wanted to do other gateways, if you wanted to, for example, accept credit cards directly online, you of course could. It just requires extensions or an extension. And an extension, for example, authorize.net, you can have an extension for that. That's a popular one. There are many others, other gateways, Stripe and other things that you can integrate with if you use those services to process your credit cards. Obviously, if you're doing something like that, there are other requirements outside of WooCommerce that you may need to take into consideration. For example, you'll need an SSL certificate, so you can have that HTTPS and have a secure payment. So there are other things you need to consider besides an extension when you're taking credit cards directly. However, out of the box, PayPal's integrated, PayPal standard, you have it there. It doesn't require an SSL certificate because the payment's not being processed on your site. It's being processed on PayPal's site. And it's very, very easy to set up. In fact, we'll look at that, but it just requires your PayPal email address, and it works great. And then the customer could then place their order. So it's pretty simple. It's a nice, clean checkout process. And then the out-of-the-box features, very easy to set up. And you can get your store going really set up very quickly by just using the basics of WooCommerce. Okay, so who is behind WooCommerce? Who would actually give it away for free? Well, actually, it's a company called WooThemes, and I'm on their homepage right now. And if you're on their homepage, you can read a little bit more about WooCommerce here. There's a link in the navigation here to WooCommerce and about WooCommerce. If you just want to get some short descriptions about it, read about it a little bit more, you can do that here. Also, on their site, there is documentation on WooCommerce. And in particular, I wanted to point out the user guide right here. And if I click on that, there's actually an admin guide and some other getting started and things like that. So you can read a little bit more about WooCommerce if you'd like and refer back to some of these documents. But I wanted to just mention that WooCommerce actually started off, it is an open source plugin, meaning that is community developed. It's just managed by WooThemes. I should say that. So that's why it's a free plugin. However, the open source project originally started off as a plugin called JigoShop, and then WooThemes branched off JigoShop and created their own plugin. So it's very similar to JigoShop, but it branched off at some point, and WooThemes started developing it and calling it WooCommerce. So JigoShop's still out there, but as time goes on, the two plugins will get more and more different. And you may ask the question, well, why not JigoShop? Why WooCommerce? Well, a lot has to do with WooThemes itself and the brand that they have. They're well known for creating great WordPress themes, and so they do have a brand to defend, and they have that name, and so people assume that they want to keep that and they want to put out a good product, and so a lot of people have gone for WooCommerce. So that's sort of the story behind it, and these are sort of the people behind it. Now, earlier in the video, I'd mentioned extensions. So there are extensions that you can purchase here. This is obviously part of the business model that WooThemes have, is selling extensions. They give away the plugin, but they can sell extensions. You actually don't have to necessarily purchase extensions from WooCommerce. There are other places where you can purchase WooCommerce extensions, but there are quite a few here on the website, and you can search for various payment gateways and things like that, but you can see that there's all sorts of ways of extending WooCommerce. It has some really great functionality, and the prices are fairly reasonable. I mean, you're looking at extensions between, depending on the functionality, of course, between $29, a lot around the $49, $50 range, and you'll see some at the $99 range. Usually you'll see between $30 and $99 for most plugins on this site. If you go searching around on other sites, you might be able to find cheaper ones that do similar things. But the WooCommerce extension page is a great place to look for good quality extensions to your WooCommerce store. So I just wanted to point that out.
Good production. Whoa, whoa.